Hi, my name is Erica, and I've been a teacher for 3 years now. When I first got hired in my district, I was handed over a rather large pile of different teacher manuals I was expected to teach with. Now, being a new teacher, I tried to teach each lesson according to the teacher manual. I was afraid to go outside of the teacher manual because this is what my principal had given me to teach, and I thought that's what everyone taught with. But as I was going through each of the lessons, I thought, is this all I'm allowed to teach with? What if my students are bored? Now, as I was going through the math lessons, I found an example that really exemplifies what I'm trying to show here. Here's the math problem I gave to my students through the teacher manual. An ostrich had 3 clutches of eggs this year. The first clutch had 12 eggs, the second clutch had 16 eggs, and the third had 21 eggs. What was the total number of eggs laid? Now, as I set this math problem, I looked around, and many of the students were looking outside, or they were drawing in their notebooks, and I found myself getting frustrated and wondering why they weren't paying attention. At the end of my lesson, I had some time to reflect on what was actually going wrong during my lesson. I want my students to be motivated, and I want them to learn and want to learn. So I was trying to think of what things could have gone wrong. Are the students engaged? Are they interested? Do they care about clutches and figuring out how many eggs this ostrich laid? The answer is no. I knew I needed to make a change if I wanted my students to be motivated to learn and interested in learning. So I decided to personalize my instruction for my students. So here's an example of how I adapted that first problem and made it personalized to my students. Oliver studied his math facts for 12 minutes on Monday, 16 minutes on Tuesday, and 21 minutes on Wednesday. How many minutes did he practice his math facts over the 3 days? Now what I did here was I kept this concept the same. The students need to add 3 numbers together. What I changed is the context that the problem is given in. Oliver is a student in my class, and my students are expected to practice their math facts every night. The reaction that I received after giving this problem was completely different than the previous problem. The students were excited and very interested in reading each problem. They didn't want to stop because they wanted to see if their name was in the next problem. Oliver came up to me at the end of the lesson and said, "Miss Yukis, this is the first time anyone has ever used my name in a math problem." The other students walked up to Oliver and said, "Wow, Oliver, you practiced your math facts for 49 minutes. These comments continued as the students read different names of their classmates in each problem. So you might be asking yourself right now, what does it mean to personalize your instruction? The Illinois State for Technology and Education defines personalizing your instruction as learning that is tailored to the preferences and interests of learners, as well as instruction that is paced to a student's unique needs. This type of teaching is much more meaningful to the students. The students are reading about things that interest them. They're working on problems that interest them. They want to learn and are excited about learning. This can help them transfer their knowledge outside of your lesson that you're teaching that day. This is more than just rewording word problems. This applies to all subjects. While I believe my district has a well-thought-out reading program, I still feel myself needing to adapt the lessons so they are personalized for my students. When incorporating extra reading passages to practice skills or strategies through my reading curriculum, I found passages that relate to my students' interests. It is important to realize that teacher manuals do not take into account our students' life experiences or lack thereof when creating stories for our students to learn from. This is where the teacher can come in and personalize their instruction for their students so that the content is more meaningful for the students and they feel motivated to learn. Using students' questions and curiosity during lessons can be very powerful in personalizing your instruction. Actually listening to each question the student has, answering those questions, or researching the answers with the students can show the students that you care about what they want to learn and can motivate them to continue to want to learn. As teachers, we need to cultivate this curiosity so the learning can go beyond the classroom. Using technology can be a great resource in personalizing your instruction. You can use different modes of technology to present what you are teaching. You can give students different assessment options so that they can choose which way they would like to show you that they have learned something. You can also allow students to explore technology to further learn what has sparked their interest in your lesson. In conclusion, if we want to instill a love of learning in our students, we should personalize their learning. Thank you for listening, and I hope you are inspired by this to help your students be more engaged in learning and be motivated to continue their learning. Thanks.